everybody. Joe on the go here. Today, I want to talk to you about budgeting for the life that you want. Just some things that I did a few years ago that really helped me at a time when I couldn't work anymore than what I was working. We had found ourselves in a situation with a special needs child and there being some health issues and that kind of thing going on that made it really hard at that time to be able to work any more than what I was. And if you don't change anything and you're in a bad situation financially, then things don't get better. Things stay exactly the same. We got to make some changes to see changes. And who am I to tell you what kind of happy life you want? What your vision of a happy life is. You know, maybe for you, that is to travel around the world in a van and see the world and you just sleep in your van. Maybe for you, that is to have a bigger house. And maybe for you, that is to just have a house or just take a vacation. So whatever that is, whatever your vision of a happy life is, then I hope that this helps you. I really hope this helps you. So let's go into the topic of budgeting for a happy life. So the first thing that you're going to need is paper. Yes, just plain old paper. So at the top of the paper, you're going to write life. And then you're going to do that on the other side of the paper. So beside life, we're going to decide what our happy life is that we want, what we envision our happy life to be. And then on one side of your paper, you're going to list what all your current bills are and what those bills cost you. On the other side of the paper, you're going to list all the same bills and what the new price is, if you can make any cutbacks anywhere. Now, on the bottom of the paper, you're going to write a goal that you're kind of saving for. You know, and it really, really helps to have that goal. Because while we're saving, we can get kind of maybe disgruntled, a little stuck, and why am I doing this? I miss this or I miss that. But if we kind of remember what we are saving for, that goal that we have in mind, then that really, really helps to motivate us. And I want you to take care of yourselves. I want you to have a happy life and enjoy life and take care of yourself, do things. But if we're talking about the subject of saving, so we can do some of those things or have some of those things out of life that we want, then we got to get into this a little bit and we got to make some cutbacks. And you don't have to do this, but there's just some ways to kind of help. So the first thing is, I want you to close your eyes. I'll close mine too, so you don't feel like somebody's looking at you. But close your eyes and think, what do I want out of the one life that I get? What is it that I want out of that life? What do I envision my happy life to be? Where do I want to be at? What do I want to do? And you got it? Okay, good. Now write that goal at the top of your paper. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is your work and education. So sometimes when we go back to school and that type of thing, as far as where education is concerned, we can get a better job, maybe a much better job, but there's also the cost of education. And sometimes you got to weigh that out, if that is worth it to you or not. Another thing you can do as far as education is concerned is sometimes there's places that hire you and give you, I don't know, a week or two of training. Sometimes they'll pay you for the training and maybe set you down a new career path, something that you enjoy a lot more. And that might be a way that you can make a little bit more money. Now, where work is concerned, we really got to take a lot of time with that. Probably the most time with the work situation, because we get so busy working for the life that we want that we're working, we're trying to live and do better, and we forget to live. Our quality of life goes down here. So sometimes we just get so busy working. We forget to have a life. We forget to have one. And we forget that the reason that we're working is for that life that we envision, for that life that we want. So be careful with that one. Take a lot of time with that one. Take as much time as you need with that one. Relook at it, adjust it. Just really look at that one. Something I would like to note, though, while we're doing this budget, is that the old saying goes, you make more money, you spend more money. And while that may be true in some cases, because I'm a strong believer in you've worked for the money, you're the one that can say how you get to spend that money. But we have to remember where budgeting is concerned, that if we want to save money, that sometimes if, say, we're making $15 an hour, now we're making $18 an hour, a way to configure that into a better life and a new budget would be to take that extra money that you're making and try to save that into the new budget. The next thing I want to talk about is your rent and or mortgage. Now, how can you save money with your rent and or your mortgage? Well, if it's a mortgage, you own your home, maybe, talking to your bank, working out a different arrangement with them, or possibly selling that home and getting you someplace smaller that's not going to cost you as much. If you're renting, sometimes you can find a cheaper place to rent for a while. I know we had done that, and we were renting someplace. I forget exactly how much the rent was. I want to say like $900 a month. And then we had ended up finding someplace, a townhome, that I think it was around like $575 a month. So significantly saved us quite a bit there. And that's a way that you can kind of, save quite a bit if you can find a cheaper living situation. And you don't have to stay in that cheaper living situation. We didn't, but you can just do that for a time to try to get ahead and save some more money. The next thing I want to talk about is our transportation, how we get to where we're going, where we need to go, want to go. So some ways you can save there is maybe carpooling with someone, maybe using public transportation, possibly biking or walking to someplace close by. If you have a more expensive vehicle, maybe selling that vehicle and getting you something a little bit cheaper, a little more gas friendly, a little more economical friendly. So that could be some ways that you could maybe save on your transportation cost. The next thing I want to talk about is a car payment. Now, I didn't have a car payment for a long time, up until about a year ago. And what we had done in the past was we kind of get that tax check back or try to save a little bit, and then maybe buy us an auction car, maybe buy a used car from someone. And we watched some YouTube videos if we wanted to do some mechanical things for repairs and upkeep, and that kind of worked out. And I know for some people that's something you really got to weigh out. Some people are like, well, I really need something dependable, and so I don't want to use cars. So that's just something that everybody's got to kind of kind of way out. And then if you have a car payment and you want to keep that car, maybe talking to the bank and seeing if you can work out a different agreement with them as well. The next thing I want to talk about is our car and or home insurance. We all have to have it. We've all got to be insured. But maybe looking around at some different rates, some cheaper rates that might be out there. So that is a way you could save with that. If you like your current rate, then keep your current insurance, but that could be an option. The next thing I want to talk about is our trash bill. Not maybe a whole lot we can do there. If you got a trash toter and maybe the option to do away with the trash toter and, maybe take your trash off to the dump. If the dump's kind of close by, that might be an option to maybe save you a little bit of money there. The next thing I want to talk about is our gas bill. So, maybe just turning the heat down a little bit and bundling up a little bit more. I mean, nobody wants to be cold. Who wants to be cold? But maybe just kind of, that might be a way you could offset that a little bit. The next thing I want to talk about is our water bill. How can you save money on your water bill? Well, maybe making sure we don't have any leaks, taking care of any leaks that we might have. Just basically trying to use less water. So that is a way we could maybe decrease our water bill. Not really usually a whole lot we can do there, but just a little bit of what we could do there, I guess. The next thing I want to talk to you about is your electric bill. So how can we save money on our electric bill? A few simple ways. We can turn off the lights when we're leaving the room. We can, maybe unplug a lamp we don't use every day, or unplug the coffee maker when we're not using it. Because I know sometimes that, some things plugged in still kind of pull some electricity. Make sure you're turning off the TV. Basically just using less electric to try to decrease that bill. The next thing I want to talk about is credit card payments. I didn't have a credit card for a long time, and I didn't want to get myself into trouble. I thought I might get myself into trouble if I got a credit card before I could, pay it off, had the money to pay it off at the end of the month. So for those of you that maybe have found yourself in a little bit of a trouble with a credit card payment or in debt with that, hey man, just keep working on that. Keep doing the best you can with that. I can't really give you a lot of advice there because I don't know. But if you're getting a credit card, just trying to make sure that you are making those payments on time and not acquiring interest, because who wants to pay more interest on stuff you've already bought? And to try to keep in mind that credit cards are a tool. They're a tool to help us build us up, increase that credit, have good credit so we can do things with that credit, and not so much like a crutch that we lean on, and maybe, for you, maybe using a cash instead of using the credit card. Maybe you found that if you use the credit card more often, then we're spending too much. So maybe sometimes just trying to use what cash that we have on us and allowing ourselves a certain amount to spend in cash. Sometimes that's helpful. The next thing I want to talk about is our phone bill. There's so much entertainment on our phones now. We all love our phones. They're so helpful. But maybe looking out there and seeing if there's a cheaper plan for you. I know there's even some cheaper family plans. So maybe seeing if you can just find a cheaper phone plan. Could be a way that you could offset the phone cost a little bit. The next thing I want to talk about is our TV, our TV entertainment. We all love our TVs as well as our phones. And a lot of things have changed over the years. It's way different than it used to be. Used to it was kind of cable and satellite dishes, and now we have all these streaming services. So just taking a look at that and seeing if you could go without some of those streaming services or your cable or satellite, whatever it is that you have. I know several years back we had done that. We had decided to watch DVDs and VHS tapes and completely do away with our cable or anything like that. And there's a lot of great movies out there that you can watch over and over again. They just seem to never get old. I guess some movies might get old, but that is a way that you can significantly offset that cost of our TV entertainment. The next thing I want to talk about is our groceries. The stuff we want to fill our tummies with. So a way that you can kind of offset that cost is, hey, just look at your grocery bill. Look at what you're spending at the grocery store. See if you don't have to buy some of the stuff that you're buying, or maybe buy cheaper versions of the stuff you're buying, like the store brand, that kind of thing. And so that would be a way to kind of offset your grocery cost. And then, that might take a little time as well, as long as some of these other bills, as they come in, you'll kind of see what the decrease is, how much less that you're spending. The next thing I want to talk about is our extras. All of our extras, all the extra things we do for ourselves. And we got to do some extra things. As part of what makes us happy in life is some of those little extras. But be very honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself about the extras, then it's not going to help. So we gotta be honest. Are we stopping at Starbucks every day and buying us a coffee? Are we going out to eat every day on our lunch break? Just taking a look at that. Maybe, making your coffee at home. Maybe don't stop every day and get yourself lunch. Maybe making that lunch at home. So just some of those kind of things. Looking at our extra things that we buy, but allowing yourself to have some of those extra fun things that you enjoy in life. Because, hey, I want this to be positive. I want you to enjoy life. I don't want to take everything away. I want you to get out there and enjoy life. I'm trying to promote positivity here. I'm trying to build you up. And if you're struggling, I want you to be able to find a way that you can find a little extra money, save a little extra money to have and do some of those things that you want to do. So now that we've evaluated and went over all of these bills and where you can make the cutbacks, you should have on the one side of your paper all the bills that you pay and what those were costing you. And on the new side of your paper, you should have all the bills that you pay and what they're going to cost you, except for the select few things that you kind of have to wait and see on. Now, don't forget to put that goal at the bottom of the paper, because that goal tremendously helps you to remember while you're doing this, what you're saving for, and it also helps to look back up to the top of your paper on what kind of life you want. So the goal that you're saving for and the life that you want at the top of the paper, to kind of remind you why you're doing this, is that you just want to get in a little better situation or have this thing or do this thing. So that tremendously helps. Please remember to look at those two things. Help keep you going on your budgeting, saving journey. And this could take some time. This could take some time. You may not see a difference in the next week or so. It may take a year or two before you see a significant difference. Hey, don't forget to do something for yourself today. Put positivity into the world. Do something that makes you happy. And until you go with me next time, peace and love.